All right, CNT125, Inter VLAN Routing Lab. We just got done configuring the router. We checked our link lights. We saved our packet tracer, so we're not losing any of our progress. I just saved it again. It's not hurting a thing. We now want to make sure our PCs, we plugged them in earlier, but I just want to verify they're in the correct VLANs. So PC1 is in port 1, which is VLAN 10. PC2 is in port 6, which is VLAN 20. And then PC3 is in port 11, which is VLAN 30. So that is all making sense. And I can even go here and trace them through if I wanted to as well. I could zoom in a little bit and trace them through. If I hold my pointer on that, it should bring up an indicator telling you the port on the switch, facing to 01, and then it's going to PC1. And I hold it over here, it should show me PC2 is in port 6. And right over here, if I hold it over here, it shows me PC3 is in port 11. Okay, so that's another handy way to check that. What I'm going to do now is I need to make sure those IP addresses are set correctly because it was the scheme we used right here. So I need to go in and set these real quick. So we're going to go to the desktop IP 6410. I need to make sure my subnet mask reflects what I did, 192.0, and I need 172.16.64.1, the router interface, and I'm not worried about DNS. So I will close that, and I'm going to try to ping the gateway, 172.16.64.1, that router interface. Yes. If I don't get it, I need to double check my configuration here that I just plugged in. Make sure that's right, and make sure it's cabled right. That's usually what's going to cause it at this point in time. I'm going to go to the next one. 172.16. This should be 128.10. Down here, 128.10. 255.255. 192.0. And then 172.16. 128.1. Again, I'm going to try to ping the gateway. 172.16.128.1. Again, if this does not work, go back, double check your settings here, make sure all of that is correct, and then double check that your cable's in the correct port as well. And then PC3, same thing, 172.16.192.10, and then 255.255, 192.0. and 172.16.192.1. Okay, that is my gateway there. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to try to ping that gateway. 172.16.192.1. And I get it. Excellent. So all these are pinging the gateway. Again, if it's not, go back, double check your settings you've plugged in. Also check your cabling. That's usually what's causing it. Okay, now that I have that, let me go back to my lab here. What I want you to do is literally disconnect the trunk link between the switch and the router, and we're going to do some ping tests. Then we're going to reconnect it and do some ping tests. So what I'm going to do, this will sound odd, but I'm going to disconnect this link. So I'm just going to use this little delete button here, and I'm going to click on that to get rid of it. It just got rid of that cable. So now I'm going to try to ping between PC and PC. So I'm going to try to ping 172.16. 128.10, which is the address of this PC right here. Oh no, it doesn't work. We'll zoom ahead here. Oh no, it timed out. Okay, I'll try to ping the far one. 192.10. Again, I'll speed it up here. Oh no, it timed out. Okay. Because the switch is set up with VLANs and it's trunking the traffic to the router, even a ping from this PC to this one literally has to go to the router and back to go to the next VLAN. So a ping without this router connection between the PCs on the same switch is not going to work, which is why I'm having you test that. So now I'm going to put my cable back. I need a straight through cable here, and I'm going to go from 00, make sure you have it right, into port 24. Again, make sure you have it right. Let's speed up time there. I'm going to try those same pings now. So here we're going to do command prompt, let's ping 192.10. Okay. The first one or two might time out till it finds its path, so give it a second. but then it should be pinging correctly. It should have made that path and pinged correctly. There's my success. I'll repeat that. There we go. PC1 is pinging PC3. Now I'm going to do 128.10. 128.10. Again, the first one or two might time out. Give it a second, and then it should make it. And I'll repeat that just to... So now the PCs are pinging each other. And it's one of those you're like, okay. But let's actually find out why. If I trace between them, so now I'm going to do a trace RT, 172.16, 128.10. Again, I'm over here on PC1, 64.10. We're going to trace to 128.10 this guy. Let's see what it gives me. It's showing it hitting 64.1, which this is this router subinterface. Then it goes to 128.10. It's showing me that it literally went up to this router and then back to the switch and down. Let's do the 192.10 and see what it does as well. It goes to 64.1, then 192.10. Yep, it went to this subinterface and then down here. So with the VLANs here, it trunks the traffic to the router. Once it gets to the router, if the router understands, that's what the subinterfaces are for. If the router understands, it'll route that traffic for you. If I hold my pointer over the router, you'll see those subinterfaces pop up, .10, .20, .30. There they are. They're popping up for you. So this router, as far as it's concerned, has like 4 interfaces it's using. Now, they're logical, .1, .10, .20, .30, but it has those 4 subinterfaces it's using, so it can handle traffic with 4 VLANs. That is what's going on. So I'm going to want you to try those and test those. And then last part, we're going to grab the router config and the switch config to submit. And then we'll also submit our packet tracer file. So over here, what I'll do on my switch, I'll go to my command line. Let's do enable, and we're going to do a show run. And this will show me the VLANs. It'll show me the trunking. It'll show me the IP address. So I'm going to highlight all this. I'll highlight all this. Come down here. I'll do a copy. I'm going to open up a notepad file. Notepad. Okay. Or text editor if you're on Apple. I'll paste this in and I'll call this file save as. I'll call this, I think I'm telling you in the lab here to call it 2960 inter VLAN config. Yeah. So I'm going to go to my inter VLAN lab file and I'll do 2960 switch inter VLAN config CFG, and I'll leave the .txt on there. So 2960 switch inter VLAN config, I'll save that, and now I'm going to do the same thing for the router. Enable, show run. Make sure you get all of it, space, 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 so you get it all. Scroll up here from the show run command down. Copy that guy. I'll open up another notepad. I'll paste that in, and I'll call this guy file save as. I'm going to highlight that, and I'm just going to edit it to 2811. I'll do RTR, just so I know it's my router inter VLAN config. Save. Okay, so there's my router and switch config, and then I'm going to save my inter VLAN packet tracer file. Maybe do a file save as on this if you haven't, and just include your name. So over here I might do Brown. I'll get rid of this beginning part. I would do Brown inter VLAN lab packet tracer kind of thing, or inter VLAN lab. That would be good enough right there, and leave the .pkt on, and I'll save that, and I'll be submitting that. So I have my 2 configs. I have my packet tracer file. There's my 2 configs and my packet tracer, and I just have these questions right here. There's just 3 of them. What method of VLAN assignment did we do? We did static because we selected ports and put them in the VLAN. When you had VLANs running on your switch, how many broadcast domains? Well, over here we have how many different VLANs? 10, 20, 30. So I have at least 3, but I also have that VLAN 1. So technically 4. If I go up here on the router, subinterface 1, 10, 20, 30, that's technically 4. 4 VLANs, so 4 subnets, so 4 broadcast domains. Okay. What can inter VLAN routing accomplish in network? Well, think about the last part when you were pinging between PCs and different VLANs. Think about the ping and the trace. What is that allowing us to do now? So save those files, submit them to D2L, and that is your inter-VLAN routing lab. We will be doing more of this as the semester goes on, and this is now starting to look like the beginning of your lab final. Okay, this is starting to look like the beginning of your lab final, just to give you a little heads up for down the road.